Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to Unearthed. I am your host, Philadelphia Bill Carriola, show where we basically go through movies most people don't talk about, try to find some hidden gems, and maybe find some movies that are just so good they're bad, or so bad they're good, or anything in between. Anyway, my guest tonight is an old friend of mine who is, and I'm going to try to get through all these hats that you wear. You were a host of the Talkbuster podcast. You were also a host of Shooting the Ship with Chippa. He has a glass bottle on his head. He's also a host of the Hopped Ones podcast, and also one half of Creating Geeks and the Chipman Brothers Tangent. Did I get all of those? I think.
Yeah, so far. Yeah. So those are the things I've released so far.
Yeah. Anyway, please welcome to the channel, Chris Chipman. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a long time. So.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome, and I'm glad you picked a movie that, God, I could talk about this movie for years. So this is going to be so much fun.
So, in a nice role reversal, in the last few, I've shown a movie that somebody hasn't seen and gotten their perspective. So for this one, I haven't seen this movie, and it's been one of those that's been on my list for a long time, and it is Peter Academy Award winning Peter Jackson and his directorial debut of Bad Taste, which is a movie about aliens who take over a town and harvest human beings for fast food. If I'm understanding the core concept of this correctly.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That is the gist.
I have not read anything. I've not seen anything outside of that little teaser. I just like that looks ridiculous. And I remember you talking about like this on one of your podcasts. I was like, okay. I pitched you the idea, so we're going to go and we're going to watch this one. All right. So what we're going to do now is take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll have seen this movie, and then we will discuss it. So see you soon.
He's not prepared, folks.
I might not be prepared, but we'll see. So see you soon.
We've got trouble.
Good word.
Right, we're on our way.
Tomorrow we're having you for lunch.
How are we going to do if we're spotted, Frank?
Go, Frank!
Here, it was right all along.
Look down. That's the end of the weekend, cowboys.
What's up, Hollis? You go on. I'm gonna go back and stop those
Wankers.
God's sake, Hollis, put that thing down. Let's get in there and hit the leader.
And we're back. So that was, if I could find the word, transformative.
Oh.
That is quite a movie.
You have bony alien butt cheeks sticking out of the back of your pants now. That kind of transformative.
All right. So first off, they waste zero time. They don't even, there's nothing. It is like literally a phone call. First off, I do love that the phone call, the guy just hits a button for the boys, and that is it. And so he calls, and I'm just going to read this out loud. The Astro Investigation and Defense Service, or
We
ACE.
really have to change that name.
Yeah. So it's like 30 seconds of setup, and then we get there. This town's already taken over. Like, that happened off screen. Like, aliens are already in there, and it's already done, and we're already following two of the main guys as they're hunting humans that are actually aliens that look like they've broken out of like a prison because everybody's wearing blue shirts and blue pants. And holy God. So we start off with Derek. Who is holy Lord. Okay. This is actually Peter Jackson played this part, right?
Peter Jackson played 3 parts.
Yeah. So I know he's like the main guy here.
And he did all the special effects. Well,
yeah.
his name was the special effects, but it was him and the Weta guys doing the effects. So these Academy Award winning special effects team, Weta Ltd, doing what they did in this film.
Oh man, I did read up a little bit while we were, and I did see that because there's one shot early on, and it's is it Frank or is it Ozzy, the other guy that's with him at the beginning?
I can't remember. The names are so
the guy
hard
with the
to place.
almost mustache.
Yeah, the guy who looks like he looks like every guy I know that like worked at a video store before I worked at video stores.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, but there's a great scene. It's like him kind of trying to get away from this guy that's slowly chasing him. But there's one scene, and it's just like the camera kind of cranes up and then like over, and like for a first time director, like he has a real good. You could see he understands like the visual like storytelling and how to implement that. And he built a rig by himself for $10 to like accomplish a lot of these like more crazier crane shots. And that's impressive in and of itself before we even get to the ample amounts of gore.
Ample amounts of creative gore.
Yes.
Like this is like Sam Raimi Evil Dead 2 level creativity with the gore.
Oh my God. Now, so I did see Dead Alive. So I did see like some of his earlier stuff. And Dead Alive is fucking amazing. So
Dead Alive is this movie on steroids, basically.
Yeah, no, it really is. So going into this, I'm like, I kind of knew what to expect. I did not know what to expect at all.
Yes.
Like, because they just hit the ground running. Like the first kill, a guy gets his head shot off. It falls to the ground, but he is still moving. And considering they had no money, in a real good effect of just like you see part of his mouth, but like half of his head is missing and just squirting everywhere. And I was like, holy shit, that's actually well done.
And what I love about it is in a movie where obviously the gore is meant to be fun as much as it's meant to be gross. Yeah. They still had the means to understand that if you show too much, and again, this is not a movie that shies away from showing it.
No, it is not.
It did a lot of cool, like visceral reaction shots that made it hit harder, even though it was played humorous. Like I loved in that part before you see the guy missing his head, you see the feet stumbling of both the guys and the blood dripping down into the water in front. He did a lot. And again, it's also because, maybe they didn't have the effect ready for that shot or whatever, but it has like a Spielberg quality to it of like showing something that's actually going to make it implied and hit harder than just showing it to you the first time. And for a guy that's just kind of dicking around with his friends for, what was it?
4 years.
$11,000 is what they spent on this.
4 years he spent time just like when he couldn't have free time to just kind of put this together.
Right. And for that to spend that much time on, nearly the entire film up to the third act is just a perpetual motion machine.
Yeah.
It's like a ballet almost of gore. Like it's like, you have the hammers hit and a head duck, and then it's all happenstance of things falling and happening. Yeah. And Derek is just a bumbling, sadistic idiot who's torturing this poor alien hanging over the edge of the thing. And that ends up with him brainless walking
So
around
let's
having to repair his brain.
I really want to discuss what happens to Derek early in this film. So he falls off a cliff
And crushes a whole bed
and
of seagulls.
cracks his head open, and then when he gets up, part of his skull flips down, and then his brain starts leaking out, and he actually tucks it back in and then slams it shut.
And it's the hat, and then he loses the hat, so he has to use his belt.
And then he loses pieces of his brain, so he starts digging up alien brain and just stuffing it in there, and then like tying it back shut. Like he just gets more and more deranged as this film goes on. And,
a funny story about Derek, because obviously, you know, when Lord of the Rings was being made, you know, that movie that won Academy Awards that the guy that made this movie made, which is still
never not going to blow my mind, by the way. That is
so bonkers to think about. But
oh my god,
Bad Taste, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, and The Frighteners, and Heavenly Creatures were like the only thing to go on, and Heavenly Creatures was the only thing close to an Oscar-worthy film. Yeah. If you look in the eyes of Oscar-worthy, now I'd give him an Oscar for this just because it's bonkers, but you know what I mean. So when all the Entertainment Weeklies and everything were coming out when I was at Blockbuster of the Lord of the Rings film, you know, you get like a normal general public going, well, what's that? And me and all my friends are like, the guy that made Bad Taste and Dead Alive is making Lord of the Rings. And what's exciting about that is opening day of Lord of the Rings, the very first one at the 11 p.m. show I went and saw with my brother, when the Wingnuts film logo comes up at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, and that's the same film logo that comes up at the beginning of this. Someone in the front row went, "How you doing now, Derek?" And I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my god. Fucking Derek, Jesus Lord. That is an honesty. That really is. That whole character arc is just insane.
And it's crazy, like when you think about the ingenuity and the cleverness of, he didn't make it easy for himself. Like Derek and the alien Derek has hanging over the cliff are both Peter Jackson,
which is just crazy to me.
Which means he was probably just up on that cliff by himself filming that whole sequence, and that's bonkers.
Yeah, because he didn't have split screen, he didn't have CGI. He's like, all right, hang a dummy over. I'm gonna nail it in. Now I'm gonna get down there and slap on a bit, like just film this real quick. And like that's nuts to just put yourself in a situation like that. And like it ends up being a really funny, really good scene between one guy.
It really is, and it sets off this crazy chain of events and that's what I've always loved about this movie is, you know, if you go back and watch any of the films I made with my friends, and I'm sure a lot of films, we were obviously watching this and Evil Dead a ton because both Jackson and Sam Raimi want you in their earlier films to be able to look at it and know how they shot it.
Yeah.
Or at least be excited to think, I wonder how they did that. Like you said, that tracking shot up over that garage.
Yeah.
It's in a movie nowadays, it would just be, of course, whatever. But here you go.
Or it'd be like a digital zoom or something to make it look like they did that.
Yeah, it's incredible, man.
Yeah. I mean, like he basically had to go in thinking like, all right, this is what I want to do. How can I practically do this? All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna figure out a way that I can push an Uzi through a guy's chest and make it look like I'm shooting a gun while he's still on me. And like it's really well. I'm like, how the hell did he do that? Like, because it doesn't look like your typical dummy. Like, and it's such a great visual too.
And the movie keeps one-upping itself because by the time we get to the third act, this film has a spaceship in it, and we go to space. We'll get, but I mean, like, it just kind of like.
And of all the things that were meant to be gross, the only thing that really got me was the bowl of puke eating scene. Yeah. Because it's just so gnarly looking. I'm like, oh, that looks so nasty.
And then the guy, and then the human that drinks it and goes, and wants more.
I'm like, dude, I don't want to know what that is. Oh my god!
I love that reveal when they catch the guy doing the collection.
Oh yeah.
And so they have him like hooked. And again, even though this movie is so gross, it is like an episode of Looney Tunes in where it goes like these aliens have caught this guy and they've killed this whole town. They've boxed them up so they can take them back to their planet and get, what does he say? He goes, they want to get a grant and the approval to come back to Earth and harvest the planet.
So they're basically turning human beings into like McDonald's cattle.
Right. Crumbs Crunchy Delights is what it's called. Crumbs Crunchy Delights. But they put this guy in a pot like a friggin' Bugs Bunny episode with carrots and stuff, and they're letting him marinate in a literal pot
in his mouth and taped it on. And they're just basting this guy.
And that's where they give you the big reveal of exactly what's going on, and it's so damn funny. So speaking of Crumbs Crunchy Delights, when Bad Taste got its first ever US DVD release, the cover box was one of those things where you move it and it showed two pictures.
Yeah.
And one was Crumb flipping you off.
Yeah.
And then when you turned it, he was given the peace sign like this. And on his middle finger was the One Ring. And it said from the director of The Lord of the Rings.
That's amazing. I mean, at that point, you might as well go for branding. Because I know somewhere some soccer mom was like, oh, well, Lord of the Rings. This should be fine. I'm sure this would be good. And then has no idea what they're in store for. I'm like, what the fuck did I just read?
And it's so strange. Like all of his early work, it's so weird. The cutting out a shape of himself with a chainsaw and walking through it.
Oh my god! Just Jesus.
The characters being used as decoys in the car.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh man. Or the rocket launcher is always a welcome touch.
And they're always telling him not this time.
No. But I add credit because I've never seen this before. He actually pockets a rocket into his like belt to take it with him because he's gonna need more than one. And then just loads up and then gets going. Although I do love the scene where he misses and accidentally hits a sheep.
Of course, because Jackson. Have you ever seen the movie Black Sheep that Peter Jackson produced?
Ooh,
it's zombie sheep.
No, then I definitely haven't seen that one.
It's like Tremors with sheep.
That sounds incredible. All right.
Yeah. I think it was just a movie directed by Weta, is what I think ended up happening. Like that, but it's just full of there's a lot of sheep in New Zealand, is what they're really it seems to be an in-joke. Like there's just so many sheep. The amazing thing, like, all of these gore effects, and again, they're all cartoonish. The blood is bright red, know, but it's all still pretty damn gross. But the third act, where we get to the house that these guys are in, and the house turns out to be a spaceship. That house, if you look at the end credits, is a historic mansion that he somehow paid off to let him use. Now, obviously, they were doing some incredible miniature work here for the takeoff. I mean, this is really good miniature work. Like, it's not, it's not post-processed and polished like the stuff in E.T., but he made a house shoot off into space in 1984 or whenever this.
Probably,
no, I think it was 87 it came out in the US, but I think
he's filmed it over 4 years at some point in the middle of all that,
and so and I love the the alien guy Crumb goes and cranks the little crank and it pulls the fake grass in under it,
and all of a sudden the grass is now AstroTurf.
Right, but it's like they did this, but they're also running around setting off little squib shots and stuff all over the real property.
Yeah.
So it's like, how for $11,000 did he just know everybody? Is he the only person making movies in New Zealand? Is that what happened?
How is what I want to know. Like, did he blow a hole in the side of this house? And that's fine if it's like some kind of historical site. Like, I imagine that had to be some kind of trick, but like I don't know how, because it looks like he blew up the fucking house.
It was the miniature from what I've heard, but he did some Gone with the Wind level like rotoscoping of the house, and because people are walking by in the holes there and Crumb's up there yelling down at him through the holes. So it's like
it's impressive
for $11,000. $11,000.
I mean, kudos to just fantastic filmmaking. Like, that was really crazy. So, like,
and it doesn't have the thing that's the best about this is it doesn't have to be a well-made film.
Yeah,
this is just a bunch of buddies joking around. This movie's a big in joke.
Yeah,
and yet And yet you can look at exact shots and exact staging of effects and see it play out the same way in scenes in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, no,
Like
totally.
like Two Towers Uruk-hai fight.
Mhm.
There's a tracking shot that goes down through the battle that I'm pretty sure is a direct 1-to-1 copy of one of the chase shots he does in this, just for the hell of it, because he can, you know?
Yeah. So, like, even like look at this, you can just see that this guy had a bright future ahead of him, and obviously he did because this guy won an Academy Award for directing. I just need to hammer this point home, and being that his first film involved a guy hitting another guy with a car, snapping him in half, and have his intestines wrap around the
The level of creativity, man. Like we could just go forever. The fact that they always stop to show you after like a gun sticks into somebody or something, the blood dripping out of the end before they use it again. The how many ways is Derek going to reload and cock his gun? See,
he used his foot.
Oh my god! What does he say to Crumb at the end? So suck my steel, you alien bastard, or something. That goes.
Hold on, wait, no, yeah, I know the exact line. So first off, let's talk about how Lord Crumb bites it, because that is just an amazing scene. So he first off, I love the shot of him realizing he's in the house, that he's in space now, because you see Earth flying very fast.
It's
like,
such a classic shot. So classic.
And then he just Lord Crumb ends up in a room. He is literally cut a circular hole in the ceiling. Ceiling drops down. He jumps down, digging, and like a lot of this is cut away, but you get the idea. The chainsaw through his head, all the way through his body, and he comes out the other side and literally straight face says, "Oh, I've been born again." Which is so...
I like that he stops the movie and does that and almost winks. I'm born again.
And then, just for the added insult, starts wearing the guy's face.
I'm coming for you,
planet. Oh my god! Just
Derek's don't run.
Derek's do not run. They really don't.
Climb a tree or something.
I do love the scene where one of the guys, and I don't remember because I don't remember all their names, and I feel bad, but he's like, he hears something and he empties like an Uzi clip into a tree, and then as he's going to reload, you just see bodies fall one after the other out of the tree of him actually hitting all these goddamn aliens. And I was like, oh my god, because it goes on for like a long time. It's a good like minute or two of just guy fall.
So it's Ozzy, Barry, Giles, and Frank.
Right. Giles is the tax guy.
Right. And they all play two people. They all also play aliens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like third class alien. Yeah. So like almost everybody in this movie is pulling double duty, which is thoroughly impressive. What is that line he says to him? It's so great. Suck my rotating steel, you alien dick, or something like that.
Yeah, it's just such a good one. And it's great because Derek, a worse directed film.
Yeah.
And a more juvenile film, because this film is juvenile, but it's never think about it. This movie was made in 1983. It has a character that basically is already fairly not right before this starts. Derek, they shit on and make fun of Derek, but does not make any derogatory statements about his mental health.
Nope.
About it's just no. Derek's
just like he's a little crazy. Let's just not. Yeah, that's
and then when Derek comes into the house after having replaced his brains and lost some of his brains, he does not care who he's about to kill. He's chasing his friends around. He's gone completely batshit insane.
We need to run away from Derek right now. So, God, oh man, let's take a minute or two. Let's discuss some of our favorite insane kills that this movie has done, because there are too many to count. Jesus the Lord. Oh my God. Like I've said before, just even the first one with the guy getting his head shot off and then stumbling around is bravo. Like that is how that's your start. Like that's where you're starting from. And I'm like, holy shit, you have to top this somehow. And then literally every time I think they can't, they totally do.
I personally liked the entire sequence with the two guys with the hammers.
Yes.
Because they kept nearly killing Derek.
Yeah.
And eventually they get Derek on the edge of the cliff. And you know Derek's going over at this point.
Yeah.
But he goes to swing and swings back and gets the hammer into the guy's head, and then his arm rips off. And that guy with the arm hanging out of his head is who eventually knocks Derek off the cliff. And I love that.
Good minute or two of Derek on the side of this cliff. Like they really do a good job of building tension on that. Like even though like I know he's going off, but like it just takes a good while to get there.
No, my God. They off all the aliens in such amazing ways. I mean, going back to Crumb getting eviscerated straight through, the shots of Derek hanging out with his feet kicking up. You look at something like that and just wonder, how in the hell do you do that?
I don't know. And that's why he's got an Oscar and I'm sitting in my dining room. So
I'd like to also, having made some low budget horror flicks myself, even George Romero's Night of the Living Dead movies, there's something about, there was a through line in the gore in this movie. I don't know if he was using raw chicken. Whatever he used in this just is the most gut churning looking guts, especially Derek's brain. It looks almost like it's foam. Yeah. Like it's just not right. It's not right.
The sound of him digging around in there is just, it's so wet and gross. It's like, oh God.
They did a lot of great stuff with Blade. They used to cut down Machete. They did a lot of great stuff. Machetes took them a long way in this movie.
Oh yeah.
They did a lot with severed arms.
I do love after Derek hits the guy with the car, and then he's just half a torso sitting there on the ground, and just that whole sequence is amazing. And then him finally just snapping and then just killing him with the chainsaw because that's all he has laying on him.
I love that, like, after we've established that they've got a rocket launcher and for some reason only one of each type of weapon. Ooh, I get the Magnum now. For some reason, the truck for some reason has a giant chainsaw in it under a lockbox.
I don't know why. Who knows?
I mean, they're the boys. They're the boys.
I guess they just every once in a while you need a chainsaw to.
I mean, it's the same reason why that guy has the giant chainsaw at the end of Mandy.
Yes.
Same reason.
Good. Great movie. Yeah.
I loved them realizing Derek was in the house the first time when that alien's about to kill one of the guys and the saw just comes through his head and up.
Yo, yeah.
And the split, it just it's too much. Just too much.
So if I have to give this movie a number grade as I've been trying to do, I know Microwave Massacre was the last one I did, and I gave that one an 8 out of 5. So there's no way this one doesn't escape without a 12 out of 5, just for the gore alone. Like this is
12 out of 5.
I don't care how the numbers work.
It's like, whose line is it anyway? We threw out the numbers. It's fine.
I don't care. 12 out of 5. Jesus Lord.
No, I'm really glad. In fact, full disclosure, I didn't know until we were just about to start recording that you hadn't seen this. Yep. So I'm even more amazed. I figured, it was just going to be two guys talking about a movie they loved. And so getting new eyes on this thing, this movie, if anyone out there is thinking about, especially now where everyone has cameras and YouTube and all this stuff, if anyone wants to make low budget horror, like if that's the genre, even any low budget anything, actually, there's just the way the shots are put together in this movie are amazing. But I've
definitely planned all this out. Like he had to go in with a plan, and it's incredible. It really is.
I've seen Hollywood films released today that aren't as tightly put together as this thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's weird to say because you show someone any individual shot and they'll be like, well, that looks like somebody made it in their backyard. And it's like, yeah, but could you do that?
Yeah. Oh, man.
And I'd love to show this to anyone because it's an inspiration. And then you look into, if you see Peter Jackson in any sort of behind the scenes shots from this time period of his career, and then watch like the King Kong production diaries, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me. And again, not everything he's made has been gold, but I respect everything he's made. And the guy's just fascinating. And I think that's really cool.
And he's gotten to the point right now is that he can do whatever he wants right now if he wants. Like, and that's great. Like, I would love to see a follow-up of Derek on this alien planet. I think the world needs that. I think it really does.
That's going to be his victory lap movie, right?
That'll be his magnum opus. That's going to be how he ends it out. Yeah.
He's going to have like his Clint Eastwood, I'm 85 and I've been making a movie every 6 months for the last 10 years because I was bored. And then he's going to come out and go, I made a sequel to Bad Taste, everyone, by myself in my garage. Here you go.
Let's do it. I made it with $10 and it's going to be the most mind-blowing thing you've ever seen. Watch me murder a guy with like a coffee grinder just because I can figure out how to do it.
and think about it this way: mid 1980s.
Yeah.
So the height of Steven Spielberg's like explosion into the scene, you know, and obviously that guy's an influence on everybody. But you can see it in Peter Jackson's work, even though the two of them are very different filmmakers. Yeah. Then you get to see the two of them work together on something like Tintin, and only with the way that the effects tie in, he got Spielberg a motion capture rig.
Yeah,
and see Peter Jackson sitting down and going, I understand that you're a visual filmmaker, so I understand you're not going to get this at all. So he made him a previs camera rig that he could walk through the set, and then they'd track it and give the effects guys, make the camera do that for Steve. Whatever Steve does, you do. And it's like, that's not how they normally go. They just do it all on the computer. And to see like someone that was obviously inspired by a guy be like, I have technology and it can help you be awesome, instead of I have technology so you can be lazy. It's like, no, this can help you be awesome. Because remember, I made this movie where I played 8 characters and cut a bunch of aliens heads off. I know what I'm doing.
I will figure it out.
Eric's
I will find a way to figure it out. So, I mean, kudos for just ingenuity, just all around. I normally will ask the other person if they would recommend this. So me being on the other end,
terrible.
Absolutely recommend. In fact, own it. Everyone needs to watch this movie at least once. Holy shit, this is incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of this. So it is a breezy watch. It is so much fun. Bad Taste is fantastic. So don't let the title fool you. So, Chris, obviously, I think you would recommend this clearly. So,
this used to be like when I met somebody for the first time in college, I would sit them down and make them watch this. Okay. This was like, this is how tall you need to be my friend. Here, enjoy this.
If you can enjoy this, we can hang out, kind of thing. So it was like a litmus test. Yeah. Well, I would have passed that test because then I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're totally gonna hang out. So because this movie's fantastic. Oh my god, thank you so much for this one. This was great. Oh, all right. So we are just about out. I think 25, 30 minutes or so of gushing over Peter Jackson's first film, I think is perfect. So Chris, if you want, tell everybody where they can find you and all the fun stuff you got going on.
Absolutely. So, you can find me by searching The Chippa Made This. That's TheChippa Made This. It's my nickname, Chippa. You'll find all my podcasts under that banner. So the Chipman Brothers Tangent, Creating Geeks, Shooting the Shit with Chippa, the Talkbuster podcast. And through that, you can also find my YouTube channel where you'll find Hopped Ones. The first 2 episodes are up for everyone to watch. The rest of them, I did that for the quarantine to give people, but it's supposed to be a patron exclusive show. But we basically did the Hot Ones Spicy Wing Challenge that First We Feast does, except we do it with 10 beers and we get silly and we give 5 minutes per topic. So it keeps me from running on. Was basically the main reason, because 10 beers, once you get about 5 or 6 in, the time just goes on and on and on. And I also have some other projects going on. And, I've been on Bill's other shows. Bill's been on my show. I've been a guest on School of Movies, Film Rescue, Pumpkin Copter Cast, Geeks with Shields. So I'm everywhere. So check all those guys out and me. And I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much again. So, and And as always, please, if you can, stick around for a lot of the other stuff we have going over here, feature presentations. We do usually do the teams fights every Sunday. We also have fantasy film fights every Wednesday. And there's a whole host of other shows, just a lot of good stuff going on. So if you can, like, share, do all that stuff. I am your host, Bill, Philadelphia Cariola, reminding you that in life there are no right answers, but there are wrong ones. So take care.
Shut up and sit down.